Good morning, everybody. I'm Grace Wollensak, a representative of the Falun Dafa Association of Canada. Today, we release an over 100-page report that exposes the Chinese Communist Party's 24 years campaign of foreign interference and the transnational repression against the Falun Gong community in Canada. This campaign is exceptional in its scope, duration, degree of penetration into Canadian society, and the variety of means employed. The report covers the tactics used by the CCP to influence Canadian elected officials and the different sectors of society to marginalize or suppress public support for Falun Gong. The tactics include political infiltration, manipulation, intimidation, hate incitement, disinformation, assault, harassment, cyber attack, and surveillance. They are used not only by the Chinese embassy and the consulates, but also by CCP agents and proxies on Canadian soil. The United Front Work Department, the Communist Party's primary tool for foreign interference, plays a key role in spreading CCP influence in Canada. Over the years, we've seen the network of these covert agents become more and more deeply penetrated into Canadian society, creating an invisible but pervasive hand to serve the CCP's interest in Canada. The CCP's infiltration into Canada's political system and institutions is extremely concerning, as it undermines the Canadian government's ability to address and rectify the issue of influence itself. Notably, the CCP's interference includes a persistent fake email campaign designed to discredit our spiritual practice and our community within Canadian political circles. The campaign involves impersonating Falun Gong practitioners to send insulting or threatening emails to all levels of elected officials. The report also documents CCP interference within Canadian communities, business, festivals, etc., to exclude the Falun Gong community from local events. This campaign of coercion and manipulation harms Canadians' interests and erodes Canadian values as well. In addition, the report documents extensive hatred and disinformation spread by the CCP and the Chinese news publications and online platforms that it controls, which has led to indifference, apathy, marginalization, and discrimination against the Falun Gong community. The report also details a clear pattern and systemic causes to the seemingly random acts of assault and attacks penetrated against the Falun Gong community, including threats and intimidation against Canadians in Canada as well as their family members in China, to silence Falun Gong adherents' human rights activism. In the many forms and activities of repression that the CCP has waged against the Falun Gong community, one of the most concerning is how pervasive and aggressive the CCP has been in manipulating people's perception and influencing elected officials to accept the CCP's narratives on Falun Gong issue. This has allowed the killing and torture of Falun Gong practitioners in China to persist unabated for almost a quarter century. Defected Chinese diplomat Mr. Chen Yonglin, in his testimony before the U.S. Congress, said that the top daily priority of every Chinese consulate and embassy worldwide is to systematically wage war against Falun Gong. What makes the repression of Falun Gong unique is that there is a special unit residing within every Chinese mission to carry out anti-Falun Gong activities in that host country. The CCP's extension of the persecution of Falun Gong to Canada not only threatens the safety and the security of the Falun Gong community, it also erodes the fundamental values and the good governance of Canadian society. The report provides 11 recommendations to the government and its agencies for combating the CCP's interference and the transnational repression in Canada. Canada must be decisive in its response to the CCP's infiltration and must treat it as a top priority for it to be effective. I have two colleagues, but they stuck in the traffic, cannot come here. They are victims of the persuasive and long-time attacks by the CCP to our community. They may join me later, but we can start with. If you want to start the Q&A, yeah, we can start. In the room, and then we'll wait. If they come and we still have time, we can add on. Okay, that would be great. Okay.
All right, so we're going to start the Q&A. We're going to go first with the people in the room, and then we're going to go live on Zoom. Just a reminder for the people on Zoom to use the raise hand function if you have a question. And please state your name and news organization. S'il vous plaît, tout le monde en ligne, pour les gens qui sont sur Zoom, utilisez la fonction main levée.
I'd like to give some examples of what happened. You said in this area, that area. You know, just some examples in each category.
Okay, so I will start with the questions about examples of the influence, because I have the chance to contact with member of parliaments for some years. And so, like in the early years of the persecution, and from time to time, they will forward me and my colleagues the hate propagandas sent from ambassador, Chinese embassy, or consulate with the hate propaganda booklet and the letters to demonize and defame Falun Gong for the purpose to press the elected official to not support or withhold or withdraw their support of Falun Gong. And so then later we reported to police, for example, the Edmonton police hate unit. They did an investigation of those pamphlets and materials, and then they concluded that they are hate, willfully promote the hate. And so they proposed a prosecution to the consulate officials for their hate incitement activities. And those two officials quickly left Canada. And on another occasion, one of Toronto deputy councillor also published an article on Toronto Star to defame our practitioner as sinister cult members. And so Joe Chipkar, he was named, and he filed a lawsuit against this deputy councillor, Pan Xingcun. And then the court concluded that that's libel, and so a fine, issued a fine to him to pay, and he didn't pay, refused to pay, and quickly left Canada. I think this incident made them, be afraid to be held accountable for their actions in Canada to defame Falun Gong publicly or directly. And so they turned into a more hidden and sophisticated ways, to start to use, to employ the agents and the proxies to do this kind of activities on behalf of them. For example, they use United Front work department agents to send letters instead of them to directly sending, and to anybody who have speak out to voice support to Falun Gong. And so we also bring the tribunal to them, bring them to the tribunal, after we won a few cases, and so then they started to use another tactic to impersonating Falun Gong practitioners to send emails to elected officials, all levels, mostly MPs, including ministers, even governor generals. And so they pretended to be Falun Gong practitioners, send those fake emails with insulting and threatening words, and for the purpose to discredit Falun Gong community, and to undermine our efforts, calling for the human rights to stop the persecution of Falun Gong in China. Yeah, so they try to persuade the elected officials that we are not worthy to be supported, like in their hate propaganda and the disinformation campaign. So that's they send rounds of such kind of fake emails. We have received more than a dozen different kinds, different variants, and so from time to time, like especially when there are Falun Dafa Day celebration in May, and so there's like, for example, in 2015, we received so many different kinds of emails, and at the same time, like those emails appears in other countries to their elected officials, for example, in Australia, United States, New Zealand. And so this is obviously, it's a systematically organized campaign, like worldwide. And some of those emails, IP address, sender's IP address, can be traced back to China. So this is a systematic campaign by the CCP to against Falun Gong and to influence government officials. And also they use the free trip to China and with lavish hospitality treatment to those invited guests, and so to influence them, to ask them not to support Falun Gong. And so in this report, I give 2 examples. There's more happened. 2 examples. The mayor of Ottawa, the past mayor, after his trip to Beijing, he came back and refused to issue Falun Dafa Day anymore. And in the previous years, he issued the promulgation of Falun Dafa Day in Ottawa. After he came back that year, and he decided not to, he said that he made a commitment. And actually later, there's one city councillor told me and another practitioner in person, say, actually, the mayor made a commitment to the Beijing's mayor upon request. There's another example in this report from the city of Port Moody in BC. Also, the mayor proclaimed Falun Dafa Day or month from 2002 to 2007 after a free trip to China, to Beijing, was invited by Li Zhe. Actually, he was retired PLA, Chinese military officer, to Beijing, and he came back and no longer issued the promulgation. Actually, there's China Daily reported. They said that because of this effectiveness of influence, a Canadian official who used to be hostile to China or to Beijing and changed the attitude of the trip. And so they decided to invite more mayors to Beijing by this particular person. And actually this also reported this person was associated with the United Front Work Department. So there's many such examples. And so that's very concerning, and this has been long-lasting for so many years. And so, and with the different tactics and the different methods, and by using different ways, I think what is the most concerning is the infiltration become deep, and within the political circles, because there's also, we find out that there's some actually politicians work on behalf I don't know if that's the correct word, at least align with CCP's narratives on Falun Gong. There's one of them, took CCP's pamphlets imported from China to distribute in his caucus, to defame Falun Gong. This is really a serious concern. So we feel like this cannot continue. The reason we write this report is to document, to expose CCP's wide range of interference, influence, and manipulation tactics in Canada, and how we can combat it. We hope to provide a reference, so people at least first need to know what's going on, and then to have effective measures and to combat it. And we also provide 11 recommendations and to our government and its agencies as a reference, and to take strong, effective measures to combat this phenomena in Canada.
You talk about the political interference. What are you also talk about the community, festivals? So I don't know.
Okay, so in the community, they have employed also the assault, intimidation, surveillance, and cyber attacks and hate propaganda. They control the Chinese community very tightly, and so they are I talked with China experts months ago, and he said he got a list of over 200 organizations in Canada that work for CCP. But because this is not the official list, we don't include it here. The thing is, it is they are penetrate and control the Chinese community, the Chinese language media, and also the Chinese language platforms on the internet, to spread the CCP's narratives on Falun Gong, not only on Falun Gong, on all the Beijing's stand. So that is the hate propaganda really has the effective to cause this indifference, and to side it with the Chinese government to marginalize Falun Gong community in Canada. What they do is, for example, in Toronto, we have groups to clarify the truth, to tell people the truth about what's going on in China at the different locations on daily basis. For example, at the city hall, at the Chinese consulate, at a tourist place, and so on daily basis, they would encounter the abuses and sometimes assault. And so what happens, they will come closely, very often have someone to take photos of those practitioners, and afterwards they use some kind of ways to identify who this person is. They have ability, and then to know exactly what this person is and doing, and say I know your father, your father's name, I know where he lives, and then soon her father will receive harassment, threatening phone calls, ask him to pressure his daughter in Canada to stop the activities or the efforts, calling to end the persecution in China. And so it is systematic. You see, they take photos, and so and also we heard so many stories, they have relatives and even friends in China, and calling back to our practitioners in Canada, saying we got the public security or police talk to us and threaten us to ask you to stop. They know your everything. They know everything about you doing in Canada. So you are watched and monitored. Someone closely monitors you, and so they generate a blacklist. So practitioners at the early years, they went back to China to visit their families, and they would immediately got arrested or followed or interrogated and threatened. And so then after a few such incidents, practice decided not to go back to China anymore, because we are blacklisted, and that's subject to persecution if we go back. And another very threatening example is they have assault. There's a people monitor us. It's not like a random. So like in Toronto, like we will see people, they appear at different locations at different time, like to monitor practitioners. There's one person come to like a Pacific Mall location for 10 years. And so like he stalk practitioners, he monitor, watch them, and the practitioner ask, why you coming here to do this for so long every day? He said, I'm paid to do so. And so there's also people like at one location to grab a practitioner's cell phone, at another location to tear down the banners, and also all different locations to to attack practitioners physically or verbally. And there's one case like it's one person appear at the Scarborough subway station, to disrupt our practitioner activity, and another time at the Niagara Falls, same person, and to organize this harassment attacks, to disrupt our efforts. This is a clear pattern. So what happens here, like our practitioners report to the police, but it's not effective because they treat it as an individual case, as a random act. But this is obviously is not. It is organized. It's systematic attack by the communist regime. But if we treat it as a random individual, random case, it doesn't go anywhere. And so we hope our governments can treat this with more seriously and have effective ways to protect people exercise their constitutional rights and the freedom, without worry about their safety and security.
Business community festival, I don't know.
Yeah, so like we have occasions at the different city in Canada. So when we apply for joining local community events, or like some like even health expo, or like a tulip festival in Ottawa, or in other festivals, different cities, or even parade of Chinese New Year. And so we have occasions that we got rejected. When we usually, very frequently, when we ask the reason, they will say because the Chinese embassy or consulate are sponsor. And so they want to be friend with China. And so like they decided not to offend them, and so exclude us. This is really a tarnish of Canadian values, because we are local community attending a local event, but we are marginalized, and the pressure or manipulation of a foreign government, and this is really alarming. And so, like, in some of the cases, we made it public after the media outcry, or after some government officials say like they will reconsider the sponsors from government, because most of this event actually government sponsored or like a funded activity, and so like they withdraw, and they will invite us back to join the activity again. But we don't have to go through this. We are victims of a crime against humanity in China. But we have to handle this all different kinds of pervasive attacks from foreign government in Canada. That's compounded, challenges to our community, and we have not got much support on this issue from our government. And so, like now today, we are here to calling for the support. So I have my friend here. I will today with me, Falun Gong practitioners Jeff Lee and Michelle Zhang. Can you come here to tell your experience, Michelle?
Yeah. You have to hurry up, guys. We have 5 minutes left.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a Canadian citizen. My name is Tian Xiaozhan. My brother-in-law died in a labor camp in China in November 2000. He had a master's degree in marine biology from a famous university, but was not allowed to have a job because he practiced Falun Dafa. And my sister has been missing since 2001. She practiced Falun Dafa but was arrested for distributing materials exposing the persecution. She managed to leave the police station but went missing not long afterwards. For 22 years, I haven't heard from her. I learned about the persecution in 2001. I was living in Vancouver at that time. So I exposed the persecution to the public and spoke at press conferences and public meetings. But soon I found myself being harassed in Canada. In about 2003, my car window was broken while parked out overnight outside an apartment building. A few months later, I found someone dumped a lot of human feces onto my balcony. The feces was just everywhere on the balcony. I didn't have any personal enemy and had just moved into the apartment not long before. A few friends knew where I lived. So who did that? I moved to Toronto in June 2008. A few months later, I went out to do some volunteer work and left my 4-year-old son and my 7-year-old daughter at home with an elderly friend. We were living on the 18th floor of the apartment building at that time. After I left, a Chinese man went to my door with a gun and ordered my friend to give my 2 children to him. My children hid themselves in a closet. The man left later on. I sent my 2 children to a local elementary school. There were some Chinese students there from China. So I told their parents or their grandparents about Falun Dafa. It was not long before I found a few Chinese people constantly keeping an eye on me. They were watching me from a distance. It's just a very awkward situation that I found myself in. Even in Canada, I have been harassed by the Chinese Communist Party members. So I hope that the Canadian government can pay more attention to the CCP's interference in Canada, because if CCP is not its evil conduct is not under the government control of Canada, it could become a threat to more Canadian citizens. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Lee. I'm a Toronto Falun Gong practitioner. As our colleagues has already told about the CCP's interference, harassment in the past 24 years. Now, thousands of hundreds of Falun Gong practitioners has been constantly, continuously harassed by the CCP, and also is the suspicious person. I think these are real spies, okay? But I will give you some examples to support our claim. Now, the CCP has using all kinds of methods to suppress our voice and to harass, intimidate. Okay, this is happened to many Falun Gong practitioners. Now we think we are already in Canada, right? We enjoy the democracy and freedom of speech and freedom of belief, but it's not. Now here, I can feel almost every day, every minute, the threatening from the CCP. So in the past 24 years, we have many people have, been being severely the influence or impact by this kind of persecution. Now, even in Canada, we are not really fully feel the environment of the freedom of democracy. So how severe the CCP's interference and the filtering in our society. So it is totally beyond everybody's imagination, especially to the Chinese Canadians. Now here, just a few examples, right? And for example, they are harassing our people's members, the family members. Now, everybody knows that the Chinese Canadians have family members, relatives in China. What they did is they said, okay, this is your weak point. We can hold you, right? So, just for example, one of the Falun Gong practitioners, her name is Helen Lee, right? And she constantly go to the Chinese consulate in Toronto to protest, right? And then there's one day, right at her residence, not in front of her consulate. In the consulate, she knows that there are many times they take pictures of her, but at her residence, one day, there's a man approached her saying, hey, I know your father's name, who and who, okay? You be careful. So that means to threaten her to stop. So just a few days later, her father called her to stop because the police visited her father in China, right? To tell him, if he doesn't tell his daughter to stop, his daughter's life is in danger. So this is happened to many other practitioners. Also, one of my cases like myself, right? I have been no immediate relatives in China, right? But I have a friend. We grow up, we have a friend, one of the close friends, and his wife is passed away, and last Spring Festival, 2002, right? And then I called him to ask, just send him a condolence. And he all of a sudden he said, you know what? And the police told me they know every activity of yours, even you are in Canada. This is the police told him, asked him to pass the message to me. You see, this is the things, they know even I don't have a relative, they're still using one of my friend. We haven't really talked for a long time. So just because his wife passed away, I just called him to send a condolence. So he sent a message. You see how evil they are. And also in Toronto, right, we have a lot of the practicing side, like in City Hall, Xin Tower, and the Pacific Mall, and Niagara Falls. All these practicing sites, there's a lot of tourists, and people get there, especially there's a lot of Chinese tourists go there, and our practitioners, to telling the truth, give out the flyers, display the banners, and then these are the places the Chinese spies or suspicious persons, which manipulated by Chinese government to intimidate our people there. Okay. Now here I have the picture of this guy, right? It's already included in our release of the report. Like this guy is, I can confirm this guy is a spy. Why? In the 2002 April 4th, right? This guy went to the City Hall, right, and ripped off our banner and insult our practitioners and take pictures of our practitioner, right? And of course, our practitioner will take a photo of him. Remember that 2002 April 4th, and then the same guy. This is the banner he ripped off. Okay, this is in the report. This is the same guy, exactly the address, almost the same address, right? And the last year also, 2002, September 30th, this guy's in Chinatown attacking another Falun Gong practitioner and grabbed her phone and insulted her. And then she tried to run away, and our practitioner, run after him and get the phone back. So now this is the same guy. There are the other occasions. I just using the example. The same guy appeared in two different locations in two different times. So there are a lot of cases. So we just name a few. If you really want to know, a lot of the real information is on the report, and everything is in detail. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.